Hello students, in this session we will be discussing the synopsis of magnetism and matter topic. Firstly, as we know that a magnet will have two poles, north and south poles, and it attracts some substances like iron, cobalt and nickel, etc. And unlike poles of magnet attracts each other, and like poles of magnet repulse each other. And attraction will be maximum at free ends of the magnet, and those free ends will be called as poles of magnet. And there would be two types of magnets, that are natural magnets and artificial magnets. Natural magnets are the magnets which are found in nature, such like magnetite, and generally these natural magnets will be having weak strength. That means they will be weak magnets. So to get the desired strength, the magnets with desired strength, we are going to prepare the magnets artificially using some substances like iron, steel, and nickel. Such magnets will be called as artificial magnets. So the magnets which are artificially prepared are known as artificial magnets. These are generally made of iron, steel and nickel. When a magnet is freely suspended, it comes to rest in north-south direction, and so this is called directional property of magnet, which we know that whenever magnet is suspended freely, it always points in the north-south direction. And these artificial magnets are of different shapes, like bar magnet, magnetic needle, horseshoe magnet, etc. And the magnetic field is a space around the magnet within which the effect of magnet can be experienced. The SI unit of magnetic field is Tesla, and 1 Tesla is equal to 10 power minus 4 Gauss. Gauss is a CGS unit of magnetic field, and 1 Gauss is equal to 10 power minus 4 Tesla, and 1 Tesla is 1 Weber per meter square. That is why 1 Gauss is equal to 10 power minus 4 Weber per meter square. Then the magnetic field may be uniform or non-uniform. The magnetic field in a region is uniform if it has same strength at all the points. Earth, solenoid are examples for sources which produce uniform magnetic field. Or in another way, we can say magnetic field due to Earth and magnetic field due to a long solenoid are examples for uniform magnetic field. The magnetic field in a region is non-uniform if it has different strengths. It should be a correction. There should be a correction. Different strength at different points in a region. Then the magnetic field is non-uniform, and bar magnet is a source of non-uniform magnetic field. Our magnetic field due to a bar magnet is non-uniform magnetic field. Then to represent magnetic field graphically, we can use magnetic field lines, like just like electric field lines. These magnetic field lines are used to represent magnetic field in a region. They are closed continuous curves. This is difference between magnetic field lines and electric field lines. Electric field lines are not closed curves, but magnetic field lines are closed curves. Then tangent drawn at any point to the magnetic field line gives the direction of magnetic field at that point. Then they cannot intersect, as we know in electric field lines also it is true. This is because if the field lines intersect, at the point of intersection we will get two directions for the magnetic field at that point, which is not true, which is not possible. Then outside a magnet, the magnetic field lines are directed from north pole to south pole, and inside a magnet they are directed from south pole to north pole, as shown in this diagram. Then magnetic pole strength. This idea is not used very frequently in these days, but it is an olden idea, which is also called as magnetic charge. It is represented by small m. Magnetic pole strength is represented by small m, and its unit is ampere meter. It is equivalent to charge in electrostatics. When a magnetic pole m is kept in magnetic field B, it experiences force mb vector. It is similar to the force acting on a charge placed in electric field. Then magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is the total number of field lines crossing a surface in a direction normal to it, and mathematically it is given by the formula phi is equal to integration b vector dot ds vector. Then Gauss law in magnetism. As per the Gauss law in magnetism, the total flux linked with a closed body is always zero. So that is flux is equal to zero. That is surface integration of b vector dot ds vector is equal to zero. The reason for zero magnetic flux linked with any surface is that magnetic monopoles do not exist. This is why this idea of magnetic pole strength is rejected actually. And so since the magnetic monopoles do not exist, always the the smallest, even the smallest magnet will have two poles, that is it behaves like a dipole. And as we already know that a dipole will have zero net charge. Similarly, the magnetic charge of a even smallest bar magnet will be zero, hence the flux would be zero. Or else in another manner what we can say is, since magnetic field lines are closed loops, always the number of field lines leaving the closed surface is equal to the number of field lines entering the closed surface, hence the net flux is always zero. Then magnetic dipole moment. Here first we mention about magnetic dipole, then we come with a magnetic dipole moment. A magnetic dipole consists of a pair of magnetic poles of equal and opposite pole strength separated by small distance. The examples for magnetic dipoles are magnetic needles, bar magnet, solenoid, any current carrying coil or loop. And here, magnetic moment of bar magnet is, suppose if it is having pole strengths minus m and plus m, generally south pole is associated with minus m pole strength, north pole is associated with plus m pole strength, and it is associated with magnetic dipole moment, which is a product of magnetic pole strength and effective length of magnet. Effective length of the magnet is the length between this south pole and north pole of the bar magnet. In general, the south pole and north pole of the bar magnet lies slightly within the surface, hence the length of the bar magnet and effective length of bar magnet are slightly different. Then it is an axial vector, and it is having an SI unit of ampere meter square. And here we have marked a neutral point. Neutral point is a point at which the magnetic field, net magnetic field, is zero. And the magnetic moment or magnetic dipole moment of a bar magnet is defined as a vector quantity having magnitude equal to product of pole strength with effective length and directed along the axis of the magnet from south pole of the magnet to north pole of magnet. Then the magnetic field due to bar magnet or magnetic dipole. This is similar to the electric field due to a electric dipole. You can draw many similarities here. Here we have magnetic dipole moment, capital M vector is equal to small m into 2L vector. Here 2L is considered as the effective length of magnet, where we had P vector is equal to Q into 2L vector in a case of electric dipole. And if you have a point on the axis of magnet, in that case, at a distance smaller from the center of the magnet, the magnetic field is B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into 2mr divided by r square minus L square whole square. And if the magnet is short, or short magnetic dipole is considered, then in that case, the magnetic field at any point on the axis would become mu naught by 4 pi into 2m by r cube in the direction of magnetic dipole moment. That is, B axial is parallel to m vector. And at any point on the equatorial line or in the broadside and position of the bar magnet, we get magnetic field as B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into capital M divided by r square plus L square whole power 3 by 2. And for the short bar magnet, we will get B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi into capital M by r cube. Actually, this field should be equatorial field and this should be axial field. And axial point, at any point on the axial line, it can be called as end-on position. Now, as we already mentioned, at any point on the axis, the magnetic field is parallel to magnetic dipole moment. But at any point on the equatorial line, the magnetic field will be anti-parallel to the magnetic dipole moment. Then at any point in the plane of the bar magnet, whose position vector is making angle theta with the center of the magnetic field is given by mu naught by 4 pi into m by r cube into root of 3 cos square theta plus 1. This formula is applicable only for short dipole, and in this case the direction of magnetic field is given by tan alpha is equal to half tan theta, and angle between the magnetic field at this point and magnetic dipole moment is equal to alpha plus theta. So if alpha plus theta is 90 degree, that means the magnetic field at the point is perpendicular to magnetic dipole moment. Then we will get tan theta is equal to root 2. regarding this already we have discussed in electrostatics. Similar explanation follows here also. Then torque on a bar magnet in a magnetic field. So when a bar magnet is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences torque similar to the electric dipole experiencing torque in a uniform electric field. So in this case, the torque acting on the bar magnet is given by the formula mb into 2l sin theta, and we know that m into 2l is equal to magnetic dipole moment, that is capital M. Hence tau is expressed as capital MB sin theta, and here m and b are vectors. So in vector form, torque is given by tau vector is equal to m vector plus b vector. And since here we have sin theta term, if theta is equal to 90 degree, this torque value becomes maximum. If theta is equal to 0 or 180 degree, then this torque value becomes minimum. That is why tau maximum is equal to MB and tau minimum is equal to 0. Then the net force on the bar magnet in this condition is 0. And the potential energy of the bar magnet is a dot product of magnetic dipole moment and magnetic field. That is U is equal to M vector dot B vector. And U minimum, the minimum value of energy of magnet, potential energy of magnet is minus MB, which is at theta is equal to 0 degree position, which is called as most stable position of the bar magnet. And its value is maximum, which is equal to capital MB at a angle of theta is equal to 180 degree. Here I need to make a small correction. U potential energy is actually given by the formula U is equal to minus M vector dot B vector. Just make that small corrections. Hence U minimum will be minus MB at theta is equal to 0 degree, and U maximum will be MB, which is at theta is equal to 180 degree. And this theta is equal to 180 degree position is called as most unstable position. And there is one more position which corresponds to theta is equal to 90 degree, at which the potential energy becomes 0. It would be zero energy position. Then the work done in rotating the bar magnet from angular position theta 1 to theta 2 is given by the formula W is equal to MB. Here we need to change small m into capital M. Capital MB into cos theta 1 minus cos theta 2 are are minus MB into cos theta 2 minus cos theta 1. That would be the formula. And W is equal to MB into 1 minus cos theta is a formula for changing the magnetic field direction from 0 degree value to theta value. That means from 0 degree position to change it to a theta angle, then we need to do this work. Then a bar magnet kept in a non-uniform magnetic field may experience a net force and also a torque. If a bar magnet is placed in a uniform magnetic field, it will experience 0 net force and only it experiences torque. But if the magnetic field is non-uniform, the magnet can experience both torque as well as force. Then atomic magnetism. An atomic orbital electron which is doing bounded uniform circular motion around the nucleus, then the current constitutes with this orbital motion, and hence orbit behaves like a current carrying loop. So due to this, magnetism is produced or magnetic field is produced at position of nucleus. This phenomena is called atomic magnetism. So in this case, if you are considering a atom whose atomic number is Z, so the nucleus will have a charge of plus Ze, and there is an electron which is moving in a orbit of radius smaller. In that case, the current produced due to this motion, which is orbital current, is given by the formula I is equal to E into frequency of revolution, or it can be also expressed as E divided by time period of revolution. And this time period of revolution is 2 pi r by V, we already know. Hence on substituting, you will get I is equal to EV by 2 pi r, I is equal to EV by 2 pi r. And here V by r is omega, that is angular velocity of this electron. So we can also write I as E omega divided by 2 pi. And now in this case, the magnetic induction at the position of nucleus is nothing but magnetic field at a center of circular loop. So here, as a circular orbit behaves like current carrying loop, so the magnetic field, magnetic induction at a nucleus position is Bn is equal to mu naught I by 2r. Or now using these different values of or different formulae for current, we can express this magnetic field due to nucleus in 4 different ways. Bn is equal to mu naught Ef divided by 2r. It is also equal to mu naught E divided by 2tr it is also equal to mu naught EV by 4 pi r square. It's also equal to mu naught E omega divided by 4 pi r. Then the magnetic moment of circular orbit is a product of current through the current produced due to the orbital motion and area of the loop. So it is m is equal to I into A. Hence I is, suppose if you use different formula of I and simplify, you will get m is equal to EF divided by pi r square, or m is equal to pi E r square by capital T, or m is equal to EVR by 2, or m is equal to E omega r square by 2. Then the relation between magnetic moment and angular momentum of orbital electron. Here we have considered the magnetic dipole moment of the revolving electron as EVR by 2, then multiplied and divided by m. Then here MVR is orbital angular momentum of electron. Hence we can express this m as EL divided by 2m in scalar form, and in vector form m vector is equal to minus EL vector divided by 2m. This is because electron is a negative charge particle, and in this case the electron motion in the orbit will produce magnetic field, magnetic dipole moment, which is exactly opposite to the direction of angular momentum of the electron. That is why even that is mentioned here. For orbital electron, its m vector and L vector are both anti-parallel axial vector. Then now from Bohr's model, the angular momentum of electron is given by the formula, orbital electron is given by the formula L is equal to nh by 2 pi, where n is 1, 2, 3, so on, and here h is Planck's constant. So the magnetic dipole moment can be expressed as capital M is equal to NEH divided by 4 pi m. And here if n is 1, that is the minimum value of minimum value of the magnetic dipole moment of electron is equal to EH by 4 pi m, is known as, this is known as Bohr magneton, and it is also denoted by mu b. Then oscillations of a bar magnet in a magnetic field. So if you have a bar magnet in its equilibrium position in magnetic field, and its equilibrium position is disturbed, then the bar magnet starts to oscillate simple harmonically, so that its angular frequency is omega is equal to root mb by I, and time period of oscillations is t is equal to 2 pi into root of I by mb, where I is the moment of inertia of magnet, m is a magnetic dipole moment, b is a magnetic field strength. Then some important cases which can be helpful in solving numericals for us. So a bar magnet of length L is cut in this manner, that is cut into two equal halves along the length. Then in that case, each of this bar magnet will have time period which is equal to half of the time period of the complete magnet. That means the new time period T dash is equal to T by 2. Once again, I'd like to mention here the magnet, a single magnet is cut into two pieces having equal length. Then next, if you have cut a magnet along the length, means two magnets are having same length but having half area of cross section. In such case, the new magnets will have same time period of oscillation as the original one. Then if two bar magnets having magnetic moments m1, m2 and moment of inertia I1 and I2 are joined as shown. So firstly, if they are joined with magnetic moments in same direction, then the time period of that arrangement is T1 is equal to 2 pi into root of I1 plus I2 divided by m1 plus m2 into b. And if suppose the magnetic moments are oppositely arranged, in that case T2 is equal to 2 pi into root of I1 plus I2 divided by m1 minus m2 into b. And in this regard, if you want, there is an important relation between this T1 and T2, which is given by T2 square plus T1 square divided by T2 square minus T1 square is equal to m1 by m2. So you may be given with the values of T1 and T2 and asked to find m1 and m2 or ratio of m1 and m2. In such case, we can use this formula directly. Then terrestrial magnetism or geomagnetism, that is the study of magnetic field of Earth. So the branch of physics dealing with the study of magnetism of Earth is known as terrestrial magnetism, and as it is shown in the diagram. These are the this and this are the geographic poles of the earth, geographic north pole and geographic south pole, and the magnetic field lines of earth are mapped in this manner. And if you carefully see, the magnetic field lines are entering into the earth surface at this position, which is slightly away from the geographic north pole, and the magnetic field lines of earth are coming out from this point, which is slightly away from this south pole of the south pole of the earth. So these points, the point at which the magnetic field lines are entering the earth surface will be treated as magnetic south pole of the earth, and the point at which the magnetic field lines are coming out of the earth's surface is treated as magnetic north pole. That means the magnetic south pole will lie closer to geographic north pole, and the magnetic north pole will lie nearer the geographic south pole. And this is the magnetic equator, a great circle which is passing through center of which is passing through center of earth is magnetic equator here, and this is geographic equator. This is geographic equator. To be more exact, this geographic equator and magnetic equator will be the perpendicular planes to the geographic axis and magnetic axis of the earth. Magnetic axis is a line joining the magnetic poles of the earth as shown here. So a plane perpendicular to it and passing through the center of the earth is magnetic equator, and the dotted line which is shown here is a geographical axis which is joining the geographic poles of the earth, and the great circle, which is great circular plane which is passing through the earth's center and perpendicular to this geographic axis is generally geographic equator. Now, if you want to describe the magnetic field at any point, magnetic field of earth at any point, you require the three quantities. If you know three quantities called declination, inclination, and horizontal component of magnetic field, you can describe the magnetic field of earth at any point completely. These three together are called magnetic elements of earth. Magnetic elements of earth. So here, if you have you can represent the geographic meridian and magnetic meridian as shown in this diagram. Geographic meridian basically is a vertical plane passing through geographic axis, and magnetic meridian is a vertical plane passing through magnetic axis at any point. Here, as you are seeing, these two planes will not coincide, and there will be a small angle between these two planes, which is called magnetic declination, which is represented in this case by delta. And the earth magnetic field always will be present in magnetic meridian, and in this magnetic meridian, the magnetic field of earth is making an angle with a horizontal direction. It is called angle of dip or angle of inclination, and because of this angle, you can resolve the magnetic field vector here into two components along vertical direction and horizontal direction. The component of Earth's magnetic field, which is present along the horizontal direction in magnetic meridian, is called horizontal component of magnetic field of Earth, which is given by BH is equal to B cos phi, and the magnetic field in the vertical direction here is vertical component of magnetic field of Earth, which is given by B sin phi. So you can write BH square plus BV square is equal to B square. That gives the magnetic field, magnitude of the magnetic field of Earth, and tan phi is equal to BV by BH, which gives us the direction of magnetic field in the magnetic meridian. And in general, this inclination at any point is measured using the device known as dip circle. So if usually the dip circle will be kept in magnetic meridian, and the inclination of the needle will give us the magnetic dip at that point. But if you are setting dip circle not in magnetic meridian, but the dip circle is in a plane making an angle of θ1 into the magnetic meridian as shown in this diagram. So originally in this plane is magnetic meridian. In that case, this angle phi is called true dip, but the dip circle is kept in this plane, and in that case the magnetic field, there will be a component of magnetic field along the horizontal in that plane, which makes angle θ1, with the magnetic meridian, and in this case the value of the angle between the magnetic field and horizontal component is phi 1. So in this case, the tan phi 1, that is that this angle is known as apparent dip. That apparent dip, if it is given, you can use this formula. Tan phi 1 is equal to bv divided by bh into cos theta 1. Using this, you can find the true dip by formula tan phi 1 is equal to tan phi divided by cos theta 1, because bv by bh is tan phi, and as we already know phi 1 is a reading of dip circle in this new plane, which is making an angle theta 1 to the magnetic meridian. In that case, tan phi 1 is equal to tan phi into cos theta 1 gives us the value of phi. And you need to remember that even though dip circle is not in magnetic meridian, the vertical component direction and magnitude will remain same, but the horizontal component direction will change in that case. Then next, magnetic materials. So here the property of magnetism in materials is on account of magnetic moment of the material, magnetic moment in the material. So since we know that each and every material is composed of atoms and molecules, and inside the atoms we have electrons which are revolving in the orbits, and already we just now earlier discussed that a revolving electron in an orbit can give rise to a magnetic field. So in that case, the orbit will be associated with a magnetic moment. So on account of that, the materials will get the magnetic properties. So all the here the materials are classified into three types: paramagnets, diamagnetic material, and ferromagnetic substances, based on the behavior of those materials in the magnetic field. And there are certain quantities or properties which will be considered into account for the classification of matter into paramagnetic, diamagnetic, and ferromagnetic materials. So now here, all the elements of the nature are studied under action of magnetic field and then classified into three parts according to the following properties. First property is magnetic intensity or magnetizing force, which is mathematically H is equal to B naught by mu naught, where B naught is magnetic field in vacuum. And SI units of this are A by M, and this H is also equal to N into I. This is generally defined for source producing magnetic field in a region. This H is equal to N into I in case of a solenoid. Where N is the number of turns per unit length and I is the current through each turn. Then intensity of magnetization. Intensity of magnetization is the magnetic moment developed per unit volume when a material is present in external magnetic field, and it is given by the formula capital I is equal to magnetic moment M divided by volume V, and its units are ampere per meter or Oersted, and it can be also expressed as I is equal to pole strength divided by area. Then magnetic induction or magnetic flux density, which is equal to the number of magnetic field lines crossing per unit area normal through the magnetic substance. And in general, at any point, if you have at any point you have magnetic field B, this is equal to sum of the applied magnetic field and the magnetic field due to the magnetization of the substance. A magnetic field inside the substance is equal to applied magnetic field plus magnetic field due to magnetization. So here this applied magnetic field is the magnetic field produced by a source, that will be nothing but mu naught H. So B is equal to mu naught H plus mu naught I, or B is equal to mu naught into H plus I. And magnetic susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility is a ratio of intensity of magnetization to magnetizing force, and it has no units. Then magnetic permeability. Magnetic permeability is a ratio of magnetic induction at a position to magnetizing force, and B is also, that is B is equal to mu into H. And if you compare these two equations, you are getting mu H is equal to mu naught into H plus I, or mu by mu naught is equal to 1 plus I by H. Mu by mu naught is called relative permeability of material. So mu R is equal to 1 plus xi m, that is susceptibility. Now, properties of diamagnetic substance. Diamagnetism is universal property of substances. That means each and every substance in nature will show diamagnetism. For these diamagnetic substances, susceptibility is small and negative, and relative permeability is less than 1. And since from this value of susceptibility, which is given by I by H, we can say that I is very small, or I is small and opposite to H. That means when kept in a external magnetic field, these substances will be magnetized very weakly, and that magnetization will be opposite to applied magnetic fields. And magnetic field lines do not cross through diamagnetic materials. So in a magnetic field, if you place a diamagnet material, then the magnetic field lines will move away from this diamagnetic material. Then if the diamagnetic materials are suspended in the between the poles of a magnet, then they will be aligning perpendicular to the magnetic field which is already present there, like this. Then they are weakly repelled by the magnetic field, so they move from stronger to weaker regions in the magnetic field. And if a diamagnetic liquid is placed between the poles of magnet, then the level of liquid will be decreasing, as shown in this figure. And some examples for this diamagnetic substance are copper, zinc, bismuth, silver, gold, glass, sodium chloride. And then paramagnetic and ferromagnetic substances. For paramagnetic material, susceptibility is small and positive, and relative permeability is greater than 1. For ferromagnetic material, susceptibility is large and positive, and relative permeability is much greater than 1. And both of them will get magnetized in a direction of applied field. But ferromagnetic materials will be